Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
Right now, our avalanche forecasters have said there is no safe route into where these two are.
A distress call from two hikers on the North Shore Mountains after an avalanche. Also,
we are so angry at this situation.
Her baby boy in isolation after being exposed to measles during a routine visit to Children's Hospital. And a senior advisor to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau suddenly resigns amid the SNC-Lavalin controversy.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening. An avalanche slammed into two hikers in a remote area north of Mount Seymour this morning. One managed to call 911, and he was rescued by helicopter just a short time ago. But his hiking partner is still missing tonight. Our Mira Baines is live at Mount Seymour tonight with the very latest. And Mira, what do we know at this point?
Well, Mike, late this afternoon, there was a break in the weather and rescuers did manage a helicopter rescue. One hiker was rescued from Runner's Peak in Mount Seymour Provincial Park. His friend is still missing. It was a harrowing situation all day. It was very tense. It was unclear whether rescuers would be able to get to these two hikers. And we'll show you some visuals now, of course, of that rescue. The two hikers had been in the area when an avalanche struck. One man managed to cling to a tree and strap himself in and call 911. North Shore Rescue says he didn't hear from his friend after the avalanche. And then, of course, this afternoon, the weather improved and a helicopter was able to get in there and get that hiker out. And now this is what that hiker said after he was rescued.
They're still searching for my buddy and whatnot, and they're doing a killer job. I'd rather just say that everybody here killed it, and they kept in correspondence with me, and they made this part as easy as it can be, but they're still looking for him. So I don't want to say too much because we're still holding out hope that everybody's going to be okay.
So the hiker that was rescued didn't give his name to reporters. He says he's still holding out hope, and then his family members and friends arrived to take him back. Now, we're still holding out hope, and of course everyone is, but North Shore Rescue has wrapped up its search efforts for the evening. Mike?
All right, Mayor, thanks very much. Live at Mount Seymour tonight, and they will resume the search efforts in the morning. I want to bring in Johanna Wagstaffe now for a closer look at the avalanche conditions up in the mountains right now. Johanna, what can you tell us?
Well, Mike, conditions as far as avalanche risk are considerable, sort of a 2 on that 5-step avalanche risk scale. But at alpine levels, we have been seeing avalanches occurring on our local mountains in the backcountry since Friday. Conditions tonight between -6 and -10. Temperatures will be dropping to the -10 range at that alpine level. But you can see here the yellow area across the south coast. That is a moderate at the alpine level, meaning that new avalanches can occur. So there is a risk tonight. We've had 30 to 50 fresh centimeters over the past week, and the base layer is fairly stable, but because it's been so cold, that fresh 30 to 50 centimeters taking a little while to bond to that stable underlayer. So that's why we are seeing these slab avalanches occurring, and that's why there is a risk tonight. We have been seeing avalanches all weekend, not just across the south coast, but in the interior Fernie, back-to-back avalanches this weekend. In the East Kootenays, 5 people were caught in an avalanche but rescued. You can see here from the Fernie Search and Rescue crew that avalanches occurring right across the province, and we will watch for that risk over the next couple of days. But again, Mike, tonight really crucial as far as avalanche risk and those frigid temperatures.
All right, Joe, thanks very much. Talk to you in a bit.
Sounds good.
Well, baby Max turns 1 tomorrow, but he'll be doing it under quarantine at his Burnaby home. The little boy was potentially exposed to measles during a routine visit to hospital earlier this month. As the CBC's Tina Lovegreen reports, Max's parents are outraged their child is in this situation.
This is the only way we can introduce you to 11-month-old Max. He's in quarantine. Doctors have told his parents to keep him inside for over a week.
We're scared, we're infuriated, we're just kind of holding on.
Max's parents took him to BC Children's Hospital on February 1st for a routine visit. And on Friday, they got a call saying that he was exposed to the measles while he was there.
And needless to say, I was totally shocked.
That's especially dangerous for Max because he was born premature and is considered high risk.
He could possibly get such a bad brain inflammation that it could cause deafness, it can cause permanent brain damage, or death.
Ready for this one?
Max is too young to get the MMR vaccine. You have to be at least 12 months old to get your first dose.
You say, Mama?
His mother had booked his appointment for this week. His first birthday is tomorrow.
We are so angry at this situation.
BC is in the middle of a measles outbreak. 8 new cases were confirmed on Friday after a Vancouver family traveled to Vietnam and brought back the infectious disease. In an exclusive CBC interview, the father explained how his 3 children had not been vaccinated, fearing autism.
That's already been debunked. So there is scientific evidence that our vaccinations do work.
The World Health Organization says it's because of anti-vaxxers that the disease has made a resurgence in recent years. That puts those who can't get vaccinated because of their age or health in danger.
Require everyone to get vaccinated. I don't understand what the choice is. Hello?
As for Max's birthday party, it will have to wait until Saturday. That's when the family will know if he's in the clear. Then they can celebrate. Tina Lovegreen, CBC News, Burnaby.
One of the Prime Minister's top aides suddenly resigned today. The bombshell departure comes amid allegations Justin Trudeau's office interfered with an investigation into Quebec engineering giant SNC-Lavalin. CBC's Katie Simpson has more.
Katie Telford and Gerald Butts, my friends and compatriots, thank you for what you've done.
Jerry Butts has been by the Prime Minister's side from the start. So trusted as Principal Secretary, Justin Trudeau has said when Butts speaks, he speaks for the Prime Minister, making this resignation all the more shocking. In a statement, Butts adamantly denies allegations he or his office pressured the former Justice Minister to end the prosecution of SNC-Lavalin. But the fact is that this accusation exists, he wrote. It cannot and should not take one moment away from the vital work the Prime Minister and his office is doing for all Canadians. It is in the best interests of the office and its important work for me to step away.
I, of course, will miss him personally, as will all of those who surround the Prime Minister every day and all of those who carry on this work.
For him to resign means that this scandal is extremely serious and the government appears to be covering up the truth.
Butts is now at the center of the SNC-Lavalin affair. Nearly 2 weeks ago, the Globe and Mail reported Jody Wilson-Raybould was pressured by the PMO last fall to kill the court case against the Quebec engineering giant. Trudeau has repeatedly denied that.
The decisions she makes as Attorney General, particularly in this matter, are her decision, and I was not directing or pressuring her.
An ethics investigation and a Justice Committee probe have already been launched, and with Butts' resignation today, the NDP is calling for more.
What we're seeing now is something that looks like a pretty surprising potential admission of guilt. And at this point, we are bolstering our argument for a public inquiry.
The Prime Minister meets in person with his cabinet tomorrow. It's the first time since losing a star minister and now his closest advisor. Justin Trudeau's inner circle needs to stop the political bleeding, but that won't likely happen tomorrow, since Trudeau will face scathing demands from the opposition for transparency in question period. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Ottawa.
Vancouver police are asking for any dash cam video of a weekend accident that killed a 26-year-old man. They say he crashed into another vehicle in the Marpole neighborhood Saturday night, then hit a utility pole. 2 passengers in the car were taken to hospital with serious injuries. People in the second vehicle were not seriously injured. This is Vancouver's 5th fatal collision of the year. iHit has now taken over an investigation in Surrey into a suspected homicide there. RCMP say an incident happened at about 2 p.m. yesterday in Whalley. Investigators found an unconscious 60-year-old man who had injuries consistent with foul play. He was taken to hospital where he died. Police say the homicide is not believed to be connected to the Lower Mainland gang conflict and was an isolated, targeted event with no continued risk to public safety. BC's finance minister says tomorrow's budget will invest in people and the environment. The NDP government is planning to spend as other provinces cut back. This year's budget is expected to include funding to reduce poverty and fight climate change. Carol James says it will build on the NDP's goal of making life more affordable for British Columbians.
That's one of the shifts you've seen from the old government, where the old government said a strong economy is what you need to have and everybody else has to wait. Our approach is different. Our approach is that you need to invest in people because they help build the strong economy, that you can and you should have both, and that's really the focus we're taking into Budget 2019.
And James will table the budget tomorrow afternoon. Be sure to join us tomorrow night at 6 as my co-anchor Anita Bathe will host our special coverage of the budget from Victoria. Let's bring back in Johanna Wagstaffe now with the forecast and more snow on the way?
Yes. Unbelievably, it is true. Just in time for those returning to work and school. A special weather statement has been issued for Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley for, I think we're going on round 4 or 5, depending on how you count some multi-day events last week. We're not looking at a huge amount of snowfall tomorrow, but starting just in time for the tail end of the morning rush hour, 2 to 4 centimeters of snow by the afternoon hours. We will see things change over to rain for much of Metro Vancouver, but Fraser Valley, more like 5 to 10 centimeters because you may see that snow linger right through to tomorrow evening. So bigger picture, we've got a little bit of a trough, just an area of low, bringing some cloud tonight, but it was nice to see the sun yesterday and today in more below seasonal temperatures. This next cold front, though, tracking down across northern coastal sections as we speak, and that's the one that'll move into our below seasonal air mass nice and early tomorrow morning. So taking you through to 7 a.m. I think we'll start to see the first flakes fly around then, filling in closer to 9, 10 a.m. So again, just the tail end of that morning commute is when we'll start to see some accumulations. That rain snow line will be key. Higher accumulations, again, only 2 to 4 centimeters for higher elevations of Metro Vancouver and inland sections. It's a fast moving event, so I'll take you back to some sunshine and we'll break down who's going to get what tomorrow coming up.
See you in a bit. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Well, they say it sounded like expert financial advice on the radio. Coming up, how a group of would-be investors claims they were conned out of millions. Well, happy Family Day to everyone watching online tonight. This weekend, Vancouver welcomed its newest pro sports team, but it's not your typical ball game. The Vancouver Titans are a Canucks-backed esports squad, and they got their season off to a winning start on the long road to bringing a pro championship back to Vancouver. Matthew Black has more.
It's been 7 years since Vancouver last saw a professional sports title, but if the new kid on the city's sporting block gets its way, the next celebration could look more like this.
Coco and London Spitfire have done it! They will fly high as your Overwatch League champion!
This is the Overwatch League, an esports competition with millions of online viewers, pitting teams of 6 aside against each other in a made-for-media esports spectacle with a $5 million prize pool.
In a lot of sports, you're sort of sitting and watching and waiting for the, the one time that they're going to score a goal all game. And Overwatch is this constantly moving esport where there's epic moments that happen many times per match.
The league is modeled after pro sports and draws a young, tech-savvy crowd. That's caught the eye of teams like the Canucks, who bought in for an opportunity to build a new audience.
We release the Titans.
Vancouver's team, the Titans, is one of 8 expansion franchises for the league's second season.
And here are your Vancouver Titans.
Those who follow the game say the Titans aren't typical newcomers, with an experienced roster and an immediate chance to contend.
I certainly think we have the ability to win the whole league, and we're going to work towards that.
The Vancouver Titans!
Saturday, the team made its season and franchise debut, taking on the Shanghai Dragons. For fans here, it's a team to call their own, and a different meaning to rooting for the home team.
To melt the hit onto Gregory in midair, and in style, Vancouver
Vancouver Titans glide into the finish on Toronto.
And an opening day win has the team on the right foot.
I'm really excited to see how they do this year. I think they can go all the way.
I think they're comfortable up there and they're just in it to win it. They're a family and that's what people love about them, and I think they're ready to just kick it.
They've already been a team before. They've shown great ability to work together, and I can see them going all the way.
High expectations ahead of a long season with more mountains to climb. Matthew Black, CBC News, Vancouver.
And just a reminder, we have a half-hour newscast tonight, so if you're watching on Facebook, we'll be streaming the entire newscast, so stick around during the next break. And we'll be back with more on what's making news across the country and around the world in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
CBC Vancouver is a proud season sponsor of the Corleone Men's Choir. Get your tickets for their latest show, Pop Capella, an exploration of the intersection of choral, jazz, and pop music. And don't miss the Talking Stick Festival. Catch extraordinary performances and art featuring some of the best Indigenous artists Turtle Island has to offer. For more on these events, check us out online.
A group of would-be investors says fake experts on local radio stations conned them out of millions, saying the fraudsters posed as investment experts on shows that sounded like news, but were actually infomercials. Go Public's investigation found those so-called experts have a history of duping investors in the U.S. before hitting the airwaves in Canada. The CBC's Rosa Marcatelli with more.
I'm still in awe. I'm just not going to lie.
Tracy Conrad and her husband listened religiously for months before handing their savings over to what they thought were investment experts being interviewed on the radio. Shows that sounded like news, she says, with radio personalities who cover the news.
Insightful, expert advice about money matters.
This show is about investing in money, with money, and making money.
The bombshell came from the provincial regulator, the Ontario Securities Commission, saying it suspects those so-called experts were using fake names and had a fake company.
I trusted what I was hearing on the radio.
Turns out they also weren't allowed to operate in Ontario. Conrad says one call by the radio stations to the regulator would have caught that.
And I would have all my money still. She
and her husband say they lost $15,000. Dozens of Ontario radio listeners say they lost a total of more than $6 million. That's according to a class action lawsuit filed against the so-called experts and Chorus Entertainment. Chorus owns the radio shows that featured the fraudsters on programs like Ask the Experts and The Global Market. The allegations haven't been proven in court. Chorus says the programs were infomercials and clearly identified as such through disclaimers used before, after, and during the program, saying it intends to defend itself in court and is confident it acted diligently and responsibly, removing the programs after hearing concerns. Listener Cheryl Hansky says she lost $20,000 to the same fraudsters after listening to radio shows on stations owned by another media company, Bell Media.
I never once believed that it was an ad.
Bell says its shows, too, were paid programs, and when it became aware of legitimate concerns, it removed them. The Ontario Securities Commission believes the men who called themselves Stuart Price and Martin Schwartz on radio are actually Mark Singer and Bernard Sevilla. Go Public found Singer and Sevilla have a combined history of theft and investment fraud in the U.S., long before allegedly targeting Canadian investors.
It seems the men have disappeared along with the money, not returning messages from Go Public or investors. In fact, the company's phone line has been disconnected, and its website is down.
This media ethicist says the situation is another example of the blurred line between news and advertising.
The whole area of paid content is an ethical quagmire.
Those who invested say the radio shows have gone silent on the topic.
To this day, they say nothing.
Never explaining why the so-called experts are no longer on the air. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Calgary.
Canadian embassy reopened in Port-au-Prince today, a sign of calm returning to Haiti after 11 days of violent anti-government protests. Haitians are angry about a shortage of food and water and accuse their government of corruption. There were calls for more demonstrations today, but as Paul Hunter reports, for now the streets have the appearance of relative calm.
Yeah, I'm at a school in central Port-au-Prince, which on a school day would normally be full of school children, but they are being kept home again today as their parents worry about a return to the rioting and street violence this city saw last week and some of the week before. But if we step outside to the Main Street area, which last week would have been empty, you see almost a kind of return to normalcy. Almost. All kinds of businesses are still closed throughout Port-au-Prince, but here at least a semblance of business as usual as people try to find food, the little food that is available and the little bits of water that are available to sustain themselves if violence returns, which of course is the fear, because Haitians remain enraged at their government over allegations of government corruption that allegedly diverted hundreds of millions of dollars over the last 10 years or so that was supposed to go into making this country a better place, instead, as I say, falling to government corruption, and Haitians remain angry about that, hence the fear of a return to violence on the streets this week. We'll see what happens on that front. In the meantime, business as usual of a kind, at least in parts of Port-au-Prince. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Port-au-Prince.
Meanwhile, 8 Canadian nurses stranded in Haiti are on their way home tonight, thanks to the generosity of strangers. The CBC's Alison Northcott spoke with one of the nurses before they left Haiti.
This was a moment Catherine O'Neill had been waiting for. The Montreal nurse had been on a humanitarian mission in Haiti since February 6th, but was unable to get to the airport to leave because of ongoing protests. The Canadian government closed its embassy in Port-au-Prince last week, and O'Neill says she and the 7 other nurses she was with felt they were left to fend for themselves. She says they had little contact with Canadian authorities, so they launched an online fundraising campaign to pay for a helicopter to transport them from the compound where they were volunteering to the airport. O'Neill says it was a big relief to step on board.
We couldn't stop smiling. I think that was the biggest thing, is that we just couldn't stop smiling. We were so happy to finally be in the air. We felt that once we got in the air, that it was a done deal. We'd arrive at the airport, and at that point we'd be safe and secure and on our way home.
O'Neill is scheduled to land in Montreal later this evening and says she's eager to reunite with her worried family members. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
22 minutes after 6 o'clock on this Family Day evening. Here's a live look at downtown Vancouver tonight. There's more snow on the way for the South Coast. Johanna is here to tell us when it'll arrive and how much we can expect next.
This weather update is brought to you by your local RE/MAX agent. The experience, the tools, the know-how. That's the sign of a RE/MAX agent.
Okay, so what would it be? Around 4?
4 or 5, depending on
of snow.
Of snow.
Yeah.
In February.
That's right.
That's
in
getting
February.
just since the start
That's
of
enough.
February. I know.
Got it.
Oh man. Well, at least we're getting used to it. So yes, here comes the next round. Special weather statement in place. Let me take you through the time lapse though, because we were graced with a dryish day today. Just a few sunny breaks out there, but at least we got a bit of sun for our long weekend across the south coast. I mean, depending on how you look at it, maybe it would have been better to have some snow while we were off from the roads, but tomorrow will be a little messy for those heading in during early morning rush hour. Vancouver right now at a 3, 1 up towards West Van, 2 for Pitt Meadows. Temperatures still below seasonal for this time of the year, and I don't really see these below seasonal temperatures moving out of our neck of the woods for the next sort of 10-plus day forecast. February is definitely going to come in below seasonal by a couple of degrees. Quick look at that special weather statement again. 2 to 4 centimeters for Metro Vancouver tomorrow, more like 5 to 10 for the Fraser Valley. So quick look at the timing. Dry through the next couple of hours and overnight. Starting to see the first flakes fly early on, but I don't think we'll see any accumulations until 9 or 10 p.m. And then towards the back end of the day, changing over from snow to rain. Temperatures up to 3 for Metro Vancouver. So higher elevations may continue to see some snow, and the Fraser Valley also continuing to see some snow. So I've chosen a high resolution model. Our Canadian model actually showing a bit more snow for Metro Vancouver. Here you can see accumulations by the end of the day, maybe more like trace across parts of Metro Vancouver. Also note the island. This model isn't picking up a lot for coastal sections, but Nanaimo, Courtney Comox, areas that have been hit hard the past week, you may end up with another couple slushy centimeters, and that goes for Victoria as well, even though this model isn't showing it. But the darker blues inland towards the Fraser Valley, North Shore, that's the 5 to 10 centimeter story. So bigger picture, that cold front is pushing down into our cooler than normal air mass, bringing some good snow, well, 2 to 5 centimeters for the interior tomorrow. And then that cold front will continue to keep temperatures cool in the long-range forecast. Let's take a look at that long-range forecast. We've got quite a bit of overnight lows staying below 0. In fact, I don't see any relief from those very cold mornings. I should mention the couple centimeters for Victoria. Very interesting because right now, and I think I've gone through most of the major cities, Victoria's leading as far as highest snowfall totals for the month of February anywhere across Canada at 68 centimeters.
Really?
I mean, that you got to get some kind of award for this.
Wow, for sure. Didn't they used to just have one snowplow at one point in time?
Yes.
The entire city?
Yes, it's true. So
we might get some more in there for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Sticking with our snow and ice theme, a Saskatchewan grandfather has turned his front yard into a virtual winter fairy tale.
This 7-meter high castle made out of ice engulfs the front yard, and it's inspired by the popular animated movie Frozen. Retired architect Don Greer says he was prompted to create it for his granddaughters who love the movie's heroine, Princess Elsa.
Took him a couple of weeks to build it using wood and chicken wire, and he debuted it on Christmas appropriately. Since then, it's become an Instagram hit. Those are all the schematics there, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's impressive.
Creating unique ice sculptures for nearly 50 years.
I love the research that went into this.
No kidding. Well done. Well done. All right, well, watch out for the snow tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for watching. Dan's here at 11 after the National. Have a great night.
Good night.